What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by the Real Estate Cheat Code. I have Rayna Morgan with us today with e-merge real estate. And Rayna, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to jump on here with us and just to kind of share your story, your journey of how you got into the business and kind of, how you built your business.
Sure. So I, short story long, maybe. So back in the 2010, 2011 time frame, I needed to move my dad in with me. Some issues where he couldn't really be by himself anymore. And I took a POA and got his funds in order, and we got some back pay for him. So we were trying to figure out how to invest this money that we got for his disability.
Yeah.
So we said, well, why not buy real estate? And of course, in the 2010 time frame, that's when it was still tanked. Properties were cheap. You could buy a property for $5,000 in some parts of Columbus. I mean, it was insane. So we bought a property, we fixed it up, and we've just been building on that since. It's all in a trust. And while I was buying my properties, my agent, she said, you know a lot about properties, and it seems like you really like this business. I think you should go to school and be an agent. And I was like 41, 42, and I'm like, at that time, my husband and I did eBay full time. He used to work at Big Bear. So when Big Bear grocery stores closed in 2004, we went eBay full time from 2004 to 2013.
Oh, wow.
24/7 working with my husband. That was an adventure.
But I want to ask you, because I know, every time I bring someone on, right, and I hear their journey, normally there's something that happens either early on in life and influence a person, a decision, or even a career, right, that eventually got them to real estate. Obviously, you mentioned eBay, and I'm going to ask you some questions on that here in a second because I'm fascinated with that idea. But, growing up for you, like, was real estate or entrepreneurship like in the family already? Or like, did you have any hobbies or interests growing up?
Growing up, I'm a Hocking Hills girl, so I'm country, through and through. Most of my family's still down there. I'm pretty much related to everybody in Hocking or all of that area. So no, we grew up kind of not poor, but I mean, my grandpa worked for the forestry division. My dad was a coal miner for a while, and then they did he laid a lot of the pipeline in Ohio and northern Ohio. Never any real estate. I don't know where it came from. I was in the service industry for a long time, waitress, bartending, restaurant management for a while, bookkeeping for a while. And we started buying real estate, and I'm like, oh my God, I love this. And it was really cool because back when I was in my early 20s, when I worked at a nice restaurant in Circleville, like the real estate agents and the lawyers and the doctors were all like, ooh, So I never imagined myself even doing anything like this, but I love it. I absolutely love it, even starting it so late in life.
So touch base on the eBay side of things.
Well,
when my husband, selling or
yeah, my husband and I got together in 2000. So that was when eBay was still, you still had to dial up, upload your pictures, and I remember it was so crazy. And he does vintage toys and things like that. And he would dabble in just selling and buying. Well, then Big Bear closed, and we had to come up with some kind of a plan to pay the bills. And he said, you know what? I'm sick of punching a time clock. I'm sick of working holidays. I'm sick of working weekends in the grocery business. Let's take off with this eBay thing. So we sold anything from clothes to shoes to toys. We would be yard selling, thrift storing. We would go to other cities' thrift stores, buy stuff to sell. And we finally settled on the main business, which was sewing machines, vintage sewing machines. So I have a YouTube channel that I have worldwide followers on, and I have sewing machines all over the world. So
that is awesome. That's so cool. I mean, I'm a Gary Vee fan. I don't know if you know who Gary Vee is, but he's he helps large companies build business kind of through social media. He has a podcast, and he's a world-renowned speaker now and all of those things. And he always talks about, he loves garage selling and flipping anything, right? And he always talks about like if people, needed $1,000, a lot of us have $1,000 worth of stuff in our house that we don't even use that we could sell, or, you could easily just go to Goodwill or a thrift store or a garage sale and find things and flip them for, buy it for 5, sell it for 15, and do those things.
Well, and even if you don't want to mess with eBay anymore, because, back when we started, it was cut and dry. The fees were cheap. PayPal wasn't associated with eBay. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's so much different now. I mean, they have so many restrictions on you now. It's just, my husband, we sell on Facebook Marketplace anymore and just don't want to hassle with messing with eBay and try to deliver it local. So we're not shipping 50-pound sewing machines, around the world,
Yeah.
and they get broken, and it just becomes a mess at that point. So,
that's true entrepreneurship right there. I mean, how did you guys take that leap of faith of, just trusting yourself and, betting on yourself?
yeah. And it was an all day, every day thing. I mean, like I said, back at those times, it would take a whole day just to upload pictures because you had to do the dial up thing. And I even was doing it a little bit before Big Bear closed because I was doing it at home. I was kind of a stay at home mom, and my husband was a Big Bear. So I was doing it a little bit while he was, at work, and he'd come
Yeah.
home from work and it'd be like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And he'd be like, so how far did you get today on the listings? And it's like, well, still got 40 pictures to upload, had to redial up, had to reconnect to the internet 4 times. And, it'd be cuss words every night. So you've never seen anybody so happy when dial up went away and
Yeah.
you upload pictures in, 3 minutes.
How did you guys settle? How did you guys settle on vintage sewing machines? That's
Well,
an interesting.
my husband's a mechanic. I mean, not a mechanic, but he works on stuff. And we started, I don't know, we found these really cool old heavy steel sewing machines, the older, not the pedal stuff, like definitely electric, and I said, well, I know how to sew. So he started disassembling them, cleaning them, lubricating, we'd get them working together. And then I would make a YouTube video and upload it in the eBay auction so people knew that they were getting a working product.
Yeah.
This is a machine you're buying. Here's the serial number. I'm going to sew with it. And I would make like a 5-minute video of this machine. And people would buy them. And we got great feedback from it. And I mean, one year we were almost at $100,000 income.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then of course, eBay blew up for everybody else because of the economy. But we still had that little niche of sewing machines. Nobody was doing the sewing machine thing. So we kind of stayed in there. I actually still have about probably 200 sewing machines that
Wow.
I could have probably sold them all during COVID when everybody was making masks at home, but that was the best year in real estate for me. So I didn't have time to sell sewing machines.
Well, let's dive in. Let's dive into the real estate side. So 2010 comes rolling around.
Yep.
Obviously, you were still doing, the eBay thing from the timeline that you gave, and now you were kind of getting into, instead of flipping sewing machines, it's just a different product, right? This is the one thing I tell real estate agents all the time. Like, real estate is just business, right? It's just the product is people
Right.
in houses, right?
And we weren't going to flip. I mean, at that point, it was still, everything was still tanked. So
Yeah.
we used the money, we renovated. And of course, that was the foreclosure period. Those houses were,
Yeah.
I got a 4-bedroom house with a 2-bedroom apartment attached for $27,000. I mean, it was just, and it's worth $350 today all day long.
Yeah.
And I want to sell them and rake in that money, but it's kind of like I'm selling my kids because we put blood, sweat, and tears in every one of these houses. My husband, my daughter, and I all did the work pretty much. And, except for the big stuff like the furnace and the roofs and things like that. But so it just, yeah. So we actually own 6 houses in a row on the same street. We own our house plus like 3 houses on each side. And it just, we invested our own neighborhood. I've been in the neighborhood for 23 years with him here in Columbus. And it was one of the very hard hit middle class neighborhoods of that time. So there was a lot of vacant houses in our area, a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're doing that, and your agent basically said, hey, you guys already got the skill set and the knowledge. Why don't you just go get licensed?
Kinda. Yeah. I mean, kinda. She, I had asked her about it, she had mentioned it, me being really thinking that I'd be good at it. And it like a year went by because we were working on the houses and all this. And when eBay was just becoming more of a pain in the butt, I just I called her and I was like, what's the name of that school again that I need to go to get my license? Brad and I have been discussing it, but I'm 40 something and we don't know. And, it took me a while, but I went to the Hondros. I did the 10-hour a day, 4-day a week, 3-week thing, 120 hours of 3 weeks for a 42-year-old. I was dying in a classroom, 10 hours a day. It was insane. And then I get home and my husband would be like, why are you so exhausted? I'm like, cause I've been like mentally focused on these teachers for 10 hours, 4 days a week. And when you're not used to that, it was crazy. So I'm like, what have I got myself into?
So what year was that? What, 2012 then?
That was 2013. I got my license in March 2013.
Okay.
So, and at that point, my agent at that point, Cindy, she had been with HER. And by the time I got my license, e-merge had opened because the HER team went over and opened e-merge with Rick. And she said, good, you'll come train under me. So it was just really a comfort thing too, because I was going to be able to be with somebody I knew and trusted to teach me the business.
Right.
And I think that's super important. I don't know where I would be today in this business if I didn't have that comfort of her saying, come and be under my wing, because she'd been an agent for 30 years.
Right.
So, and she was my agent. So I'm like, this is cool.
It's so important. And honestly, that's why I believe that, I love doing these types of interviews, because one, I think our industry is broken in the sense of how they set up brand new agents getting into the industry. Right. And everyone that I have on here comes on here and every single time says I had a mentor or I had a group of people that mentored me. Right. And I want people to know, if you are a new agent listening in, or an agent that's been licensed a handful of years and maybe you're lost or you're confused or anything like that, like there are people around you, there are people in your brokerage that are willing to invest their time and to teach you. Right. Now you
would hope so.
Yeah.
So. I'm often shocked at how many agents tell me, you know what, like when I'm on the list side and they're on the buy side, maybe they're newer or whatever, we're co-oping. So many times these agents say, I can't thank you enough for helping me through how to word these documents, what verbiage to use, like what document to use in this situation. Nobody at my brokerage even will answer the phone for me. And here you are on the opposite side at a different broker. And I said, hey, everybody's goal is to get to the closing table.
Yeah.
Do I like it when I get an agent that doesn't know much? No, but they don't know what they don't know.
Right. Right.
They really don't. And I'm now a mentor at my brokerage, and I'm also a trainer, and it's just, it's blown up exponentially because I like to see agents do well, because you can get in a lot of trouble if you don't. A lot.
Well, it's nice to have someone like you on the other side that's willing to, instead of being frustrated in the moment, right, take the deep breath and just help out and educate a fellow, peer of because we've all been there, right?
Yep.
If you didn't have that mentor, that was, like, even if you had someone, we were all there where we didn't know, right?
Yep.
That's why I always tell people, like, there's only a small percentage of people that came in with real estate being their first and only career. The majority of us, it was, other careers or other, paths. I came out of college, so I didn't know anything about houses. I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about marketing or anything along those lines, right? Like I didn't even know what a furnace was by the time I got out of college.
And it's
right?
funny you say that, because a lot of these, and I say kids, but I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're the age of my kids. So these kids are coming out of high school and they're getting their real estate license at 19 years old. They got a business degree, they're getting their real estate license. And then they're calling their mentor at 6 o'clock at night going, hey, Rayna, what's this hole in the ground in the basement floor with pipes coming out of it? My clients want to know why there's been, what is this for? And I'm like, just imagining myself coming out of high school and trying to sell houses. Like, how would you, you're living with your parents. You don't know anything about a house. You don't know anything about what it takes to run a house.
Yeah.
And it really happens. So I, as a mentor, take my new agents out to vacant houses, and we go through these role plays and we show kids what they are, show them what a propane tank in the backyard. And you got to teach them, because they don't know what they don't know, especially if you've grown up in the city and you've never been to a country property, and that helps.
I had no clue. And I don't know if you remember Forrest Lines from Byline's Home Inspections, but he was the home inspector that we used. And I was so fortunate to have him, because I would go there and sit for the full 3 hours and he would just show me, and teach me, all of the different nuances of a home and that. So if you guys are listening to this, there are people around you or in your marketplace or at your brokerage that are willing to take you under their wing and to show you. And you may have to put your neck out there and ask for the help, right? And that's the other part of it, is you have to be willing to listen and ask. So right now,
Yeah,
I'm
if you
curious.
don't ask, you're not going to get help, because the people that help you are most generally really busy, and they're glad to help you if you reach out, but they're not going to see your struggle and they're not going to pay attention.
Yeah.
You know?
So 2013, we're coming out of the recession, right? And obviously back then we were still dealing with foreclosures and short sales and some bankruptcies. Now it was improving, right? When you got
My first
in,
listing was a short sale. That
yeah,
was the scariest thing in my life.
welcome to the. That was probably a good welcome to the business.
Well, we actually had a short sale coordinator at my brokerage, so she talked to the banks. She did all of that, and I was just kind of the face of the whole deal, but she got a cut of the commission. But,
Yeah,
I now looking back, it's like, wow, I'm so glad we had her,
yeah,
because now I've done a short sale or two since then on my own, and just dealing with the banks itself. I had wished I wouldn't have took the listing, because
yeah.
it was so insane.
It
But
was it was interesting times. I pulled up a recent closing from 2016. I'm going back through all of my past sales from since when I got into the business, and I don't think agents understand what it was like back then as far as length of time sometimes on these deals, plus price points. I put up one. It was a HUD. I remember it to this day. A HUD home on a 203K, FHA 203K. She had more money in HUD extension fees than it was for down payment. And we went into contract in February and we closed in October, and the purchase price was $51,700 or something like that.
my son was actually buying a house before I was an agent. He used, my trainer, my agent.
Yeah.
And we went in contract on a short sale. He did. And we went in contract, and I want to say March. And we were still in contract come Christmas, because he pulled in a new car Christmas Eve. And I said, and even when not an agent, I'm like, is that a new
Right.
car? And he's like, yeah, mom, I went and got a new car. I'm like, dude, you're still in contract to buy a house. Like, you just changed everything. And he was like, oh my God, I forgot I'm in contract to buy a house, mom. I've been in contract since freaking spring, and he was serious.
Yeah.
And we actually we canceled that one, and he ended up a month or two later, we found him a little house, and it wasn't a short sale, and it worked out better anyway. But yeah, he had been in contract so long, he was just living life and completely forgot and bought a car.
Yeah. Yeah. It was insane back then. And, I don't know how you feel, but for me, I feel fortunate that I got in 2011 and 2012. I got licensed then of 2011, just because, it taught me so many different things, from how to communicate with people, how to explain. I mean, think about it now.
You came in still in that, when it was down, that you had to talk to people, instead of the people that just came in 3 years ago, that you're getting a sale no matter what,
And the way I think about it is, you still had to be able to explain to people that buying real estate was not only a safe investment, but it was a great investment.
Yep.
After they may have lost their job and had to file bankruptcy, after maybe they lost their house, right?
Yep.
Or maybe they had to go through a short sale or something along those lines, right? But you still had to explain to them and show them that, hey, like, now, okay, you went through this, and that's a horrible, thing to go through and experience and all of those things. But let's talk about how we can do better this time, right? Like, let's be smart, right? Like, it may not be your forever home. It may not meet all of the criteria that you're looking for, but this is better than renting. And I think that's what I appreciate or loved most about back then, is you had to say, hey, someone would come in on your website and want to see homes, but they still had a year left before they could buy a home because of the foreclosure that they had or whatever.
Yep.
But still keep them encouraged, right? To say, hey, like, real estate's gonna, it's gonna be a great investment. Let's sit down. Let's get a game plan in place, and all of those things. But for you right now, I'm curious. 2013, did you have supporters? Did you have doubters when you said, hey, I'm gonna go get my real estate license and I'm gonna start being a real estate agent?
No, I mean, I don't know that I had doubters. I mean, maybe some of my family was like, really, like, real estate, but they had already known that we were buried in real estate at this point, because by the time I got my license, I think we had maybe 3 or 4 investment properties at that point, at least 3. So, they could kind of see it, but they just questioned, like, you really sure you want to start over at this age? And I'm like, yeah, well. And at this time, when it was still kind of crappy out there,
Yeah.
but I never really had any doubters, I don't think, except
So
myself.
well, I think we all have some of that, right?
Yeah.
But again, you had a mentor, right? And why I love having, people like yourself on here, and goes to the next question of, you can build your business any way that you want,
Yep.
and I'm curious for you at that time, like, how did you go about thinking about building your business starting in 2013? And then did you have instant success, or did you have struggles? Kind of walk me through those first couple years.
I kind of just fell into it on accident, because in our neighborhood, which I live in the North Linden neighborhood, Kenmore Park, they're right near Oakland Park Nursery, up north. And we were having a lot of issues in our neighborhood, a lot of break-ins, a lot of property crime. And they had a block watch before, and my husband and I, he was available all the time, so he could kind of be the daily block watch guy that could drive around and look down the alleys. And we just really started getting involved in the neighborhood. We got on the Facebook groups, and we had the meetings in the neighborhood. And from there, I became a commissioner for the city, for the North Linden Area Commission. And I met a lot of people. And, it's really cool sitting on those boards of that type, because it gives you an inside look of what's coming your way. I was chair of the zoning committee, and that really worked with my real estate business, because I knew, well, what was coming to the neighborhood and what was going to be built, and what was, the commissioners knew that all of the money the city was putting into the Linden area way before they announced it to the public. And that was something really cool. And I'm like, hey, I'm like down here in the roots of my neighborhood now, and I'm going to use this, and I'm going to help the people. And that's what I've done. 80% of my sales are in my own zip code usually.
Oh, wow.
Depending on year. And a lot of it is from the area social media and getting involved and doing that kind of thing. So it kind of just fell on my lap of how my business is going. I have a hashtag that's Queen of the North. My husband came up with that from Game of Thrones. And I'm like, so I started using it, and actually everybody uses it now. And my clients, actually got a screenshot yesterday of somebody on a Hilliard Facebook group wanting to list their Linden home, and people were recommending me on a Hilliard page. And it's like, well, that's pretty cool, because that was my goal, is to neighborhood or market myself as the area specialist.
Yeah.
And that's what I like.
I think a lot of agents say they want that, but are too scared to actually commit to that. Right. Yep. It's like they, and there's nothing wrong with it either way. Right. But the fear is that they're afraid to go too narrow with that approach, because there's not enough opportunities.
Well, I think what agents do right out of the box is they want to immediately go into these neighborhoods and sell $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 homes. If you set that goal, you're not going to succeed. Start where if you're heavily involved in your PTA at your kid's school, build your business around networking with teachers, networking with the school, networking with that. Or, if your kids are in football, network, do what you know and build on that. And so since I was so involved in the community and what was going on in my community, that's what I used to build it. I still love selling in Hocking Hills. I'm very knowledgeable about areas outside Columbus, but this is what I live and breathe. So that's what I used. But I love to sell elsewhere as well. So I think they need to just rein in their goals a little bit and start with what they know, and they will be successful quicker, in my opinion.
Yeah, I call them business pillars. I think we all need to have 2 to 3 business pillars, no more than 3. And one is just dangerous, right? And obviously one of those has to be your sphere of influence. But if you want to become what we call the neighborhood mayor, right, where you're basically the face of your subdivision or your neighborhood or your zip code, or there's certain things that you need to be doing. Rayna, I'm curious for you. How long did it take? Was that just always the plan? Was like, hey, I'm going to focus on my zip code, my area,
No,
or and I,
not really. Well, so my mentor that retired, we actually live in the same neighborhood, like 2 streets apart. And she would market the neighborhood because she'd been in it so long, so not stepping on any toes. I copied her marketing, but did it
yeah,
in another neighborhood. Well, then she retired. I kind of took that over, and it just kind of almost fell in my lap per se, but I was already involved enough, and I was just lucky enough to get to take over what was already there as
yeah,
far as marketing. Um, and I got lucky when I started too, because all of my son's family, all his cousins were home buying age. So my first 10 transactions probably were with my ex-husband's family. So I got, and just build on that. And now,
yeah,
though, they have actually bought 2 houses with me because they've upgraded in that 10 years from their first to their second house. And it
yeah.
was just building that sphere. And I got lucky to have a good solid sphere at the bottom.
I hope you listening in or watching caught that. She said I copied the marketing, right? Not invented it herself. And I think
Exactly.
I've had this conversation with some agents recently. It's like, the fastest way to get to your goal is just modeling success of someone that's already doing it, right? Like, you don't have to try to figure it out on your own. It's just, if it's working
Do
for
not
that
reinvent the
person,
wheel.
if it's working for Rayna, it will work for you, right? If you want to go and dominate your 5 block area or your subdivision or whatever, reach out to Rayna. Ask her exactly what she's doing, right? Ask her what her
The key
schedule is like.
thing is consistency. It's consistency. You cannot do it for, I do a mailing every 6 months, and I've been doing that mailing for at least 7 years to these neighborhoods. I am just now reaping the benefits, and they're just now, adding, putting together my face with I can do this and things like that. If they didn't know me before, one of my neighborhoods, it's all original owners. They're all in their 80s and 90s. They're aging out. They're passing away. They're moving into assisted living, and I've been marketing that neighborhood for 7 years, and I'm finally getting them, getting their trust because I've continuously sent stuff to them. Agents that give up after one or two things, it doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not instant success at all.
What helped you with some of that patience?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess just knowing that every time, what I do is I send a trash calendar schedule. So when it almost runs out, I have the old ladies calling me going, "Hey, Raina, are you sending me another calendar? Because we love this calendar, because of course the trash, it changes with holidays." So, and it just, that's what kept me doing it, is like,
Mm,
I'm getting these phone calls. People are counting on me. So I can't stop sending them now. I'm going to make all these little old ladies mad that don't want to get texts on their phone, or they don't have the app or whatever. And
yeah.
90% of them don't. So, and that's what stuck. So,
No, I mean, kudos to you knowing your audience, right?
and that's what you have to do. You have to know your audience.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's spot on. Raina, I want to kind of switch gears. Obviously you focused on building your business in your community, and obviously there's business outside of your community that you've done, and but I want to kind of pivot to, you mentioned that you're now a mentor and a trainer for eMerge. I'm curious,
Mhm.
when did that happen in your career? When did you get that itch or that bug to say, hey, like, I really want to start taking, people coming into our industry under our wing.
I don't remember exactly when. I want to say maybe because I was out of the mentor program with whatever our criteria was. I think it was like close 12 properties, and then you have a list of classes and things like that. But it took me till the next July. So March to July. So 15 months to sell 12 houses and graduate. And it might have been a year after that they asked me if I wanted to do it, because they saw that the sales were going to keep happening and my paperwork was good and my documents were on point and I was closing properties. So, and now I'm actually in the third gen. Some of my mentees are mentors. So
uh,
it's literally a generational thing in the agent family. So it's pretty cool.
Honestly, I think that's one of my core beliefs. Is I believe one of my core beliefs is around coaching and mentoring, and one is that I believe everyone should have a coach or a mentor. I believe everyone needs a peer, someone that's on the same path, same journey as them, doing the same amount of business, because you guys
Mhm.
are experiencing the same things, highs, good, bad, everything else in between. And I also believe that everyone can mentor and coach someone to where they're currently at. And what I found, and I'm curious if you found this as well, is it actually made me become a better real estate agent, and it made me become a better communicator, because I had to explain something to an agent that didn't know how to get to the goal that they were trying to get to, or using the things that they were, the systems or the contracts, even understanding the paperwork, right? You to be able to explain that to someone that doesn't know at a level that they can comprehend it and understand it, allowed me to become a better communicator to my clients to explain those
Yep.
things.
And I think it changes, these agents that have been in the business for decades and decades, back before there were buyers agents, and it was all cutthroat. And it still is a lot of cutthroat. It depends on where you are. It depends on the culture at your brokerage. It depends on a lot. And I think the fact that I was a mentee myself, I remember being scared to death. I was in this dang office every day, sitting across from my mentor, who at that point I was scared to death of, because I'm like, oh my God, now she's my mom and she's a really kick-ass agent. And oh my God, I'm going to mess up, kind of a thing, and she would always be on me about getting on the phone. Don't be afraid to talk on the phone. You can't, you have to talk on the phone and make those cold calls. I hate cold calling. I still hate it. I don't do it, honestly.
Yeah.
If somebody reaches out to me, I'll do it. But God, I hate cold calling. But and then a few years later, she's like, do you hear yourself talking on the phone now? Do you hear how confident you are? And it's because that knowledge was just there. When I started, I was afraid because I didn't know anything besides what I learned in those stupid classes that we take that teaches us nothing about real estate at all, except how many square feet are in a mile, but or not a mile, an acre.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And the biggest, for agents listening in, you got to be in it. Like, there's no real way to learn real estate other than by
You can't
doing
be a
it.
part-time agent. Maybe
It
if
just
you've retired
changes.
and you've been in it 50 years and you want to be a part-time agent, that's fine because you know what you're doing. But you can't start out being a part-time agent if you don't already have a client base. If you don't, I don't know. You just can't do it.
So I want to pivot to future now, and kind of where you want to take your business, and just, how you're thinking about things. Obviously, we're going into a time, we just came out of a great run of real estate from an agent standpoint. I think we're going into a time where, even this past year, 2023 was a little bit more rough than 2022, right? And that was a little bit
only
more
the strong
rough.
are going to survive.
Yeah.
Only the strong are going to survive after this.
So I'm curious with you, what's something that you're looking to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Myself, I just need to, because of a couple good years and because of, past clients and referrals coming in, I just got really lazy, to be honest. I need to work on my follow-up. I need to work on my drip campaigns, and I need to work on reaching my past clients more than just sending them a Christmas card. I've really slacked off on that. So I want to do that because I think my business would increase. I need to be more informative on social media instead of just, hey, this is what I'm doing today and how fast my car was on the racetrack. But, I really need to concentrate on that. And that's my big goal for this year, is to get my butt back in the office and focus and not on laundry and not on puppy dogs. So,
well, I think you're not the only one in that regards, right? I think a lot of us have been maybe licensed 7, 8, 12 plus years or more. We all fell into the trap, right? Real estate was easy. And I think we're going back to a time, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017 run, of making sure that we got to put in the work, and it may be 10 listings and only 7 sell, or 6
right.
sell.
And you really have to get back into that. You have to think about when somebody around you came in the business, or what they're doing in their business, because my best year was 21, which is crazy. That was the hottest year of, COVID. And I think because everybody had so much time flexibility, they weren't clocking in and out. They could log in and do their work whenever they wanted. They had a little bit of money in the bank. I sold 62 properties in 2021 by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm down to like 30 this year. And it's kind of like, some agents would kill to sell 30, but now I'm like, oh my God, I'm falling apart. My world is falling apart because I just know, but it's the interest rate, and it's frustrating because buyers
Yeah.
don't understand that now's the best time to buy a house because they're getting remedies, they're getting it under list price, they're
Yeah.
getting closing costs. They wait till these interest rates go down to the sixes here in a couple months. Sixes are going to sound better than sevens, and then they're going to be drawing out that savings account again, paying way over appraisal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nobody
For
wants to listen to that.
For sure. Yeah, and that's where I think the skill set of real estate agents will need to improve, right? And
Yep.
it's getting out in front and actually sitting
What's your
down.
value proposition? You're not just
Yep.
opening a door anymore.
Yep. And going back to an actual consultation and figuring out a game plan, right? And
Yep.
it's not every buyer will buy and not every seller will sell. And we're seeing some of that. And one of the things that I think that we're going to start tracking on our team is the fallout ratio. How many deals do we have that go into contract that eventually fall out? And then how many of those do we actually get back into contract? Because there will be a percentage of people that when they back out of contract, whether it's a seller or whether it's a buyer, that they're not selling or buying again,
No.
for whatever reason.
I just had a property. We went on the market in June of 23, got a really good upfront offer. It fell apart. We were in the like 240s. It fell apart. We got in contract again for a little less than that. And we fell in and out of contract like 4 times, and we finally just closed that property in October.
Mm-hmm.
But, the buyers now have that little bit of an upper hand to where they can be like, hey, seller, if you're not fixing this, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
And it's a really good time to get a good deal on a house that you can't ever change what you pay for the house.
For sure.
And it's been frustrating. I've had quite a few fall out of contract. These buyers are not taking any crap from sellers right now.
Yeah. They don't have to.
The agents don't know what to do because they're like, oh my God, I've never terminated a contract before. What's next? And then the sellers get mad because they might be on the market 30 or 40 or 50 more days for another offer that they want.
Right.
And then it doesn't appraise, but that's a whole other story.
It's going to be, I think skills is going to be the separator, those that can communicate and really get the client to understand, a lot of times
you can't blow smoke in this market. You cannot blow smoke up anybody's butt, any of your clients, because if you do, you're going to lose clients pretty quick.
Yep. Rayna, what's a 5-year goal for you?
Oh God, what will I be in 5 years? I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe starting a team. I don't know that I want to. I've really got to dig deep. I've got some agents that are like, oh my God, start a team. I want to be on your team. But the team thing for me is like, if somebody wants to work with me, I want to work with them. I don't want to send them kind of off to another agent. And that's the struggle that I have with that. But that might be where I'm at in 5 years. I probably won't retire until I die. But I do I have grandkids, my kids are full grown. My husband and I drag race. We're starting to travel because all my kids are out of the house. So who knows where I'm going to be in 5 years.
What's a legacy goal for you?
I don't know. Just someone that really, really came up from possibly a life of, not very good things. I'm a former drug addict, by the way. So this is a really, it's an eye opener of what I've made of myself, and I'm proud of myself pretty much every day. And I don't know. I don't know where my life's going to go because I've been so many different places that I can't even see that far ahead yet. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Last question for you. If you could give our audience one piece of advice that maybe you wish you had, or maybe that you received, or, if an agent, obviously you mentor agents now in your brokerage, one that, agents ask you for, what would that piece of advice be?
I don't know that I could give a generalized piece of advice because it would really depend on like who I'm talking to. Am I talking to a boomer agent? Am I talking to a Gen X agent? Am I talking to a millennial agent? Because it depends, and how they're building their business. I use social media a lot. I can trace back my transactions to pretty much 80% social media resource, if they're not my sphere.
Yeah.
And I see so many agents shelling out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month buying leads, but they will not get on social media. They hate social media. They refuse to get on social media, and they don't interact with the people they know or maybe the people they don't know.
Yeah.
So it depends, you know, is it going to be that older agent that's afraid of social media? And I'm like, hey, you need to do this and I can help you and we can do it together. Or if you're a new agent coming out of high school, hey, we need to get you out in houses and we need to show you and teach you how things work and how to talk to people. These younger people don't know how to communicate except with their thumbs.
Hmm.
And that's a big challenge when you are a mentor agent as well. They don't know what to do with themselves. It's like, well, you're going to have to step outside your box,
Yeah.
because real estate is not a box at all.
What maybe for those agents that are struggling with the social media side of things, what helped you? Obviously, you got into real estate, you said it, around 40, right? And obviously, social media probably wasn't something that you grew up with, right? And
No,
and it was really something that I kind of grew up with. But for you, what are some of the things that maybe you're posting about, talking about? How are you leveraging? Because to me, social media is free, right? Like
exactly.
there should be no excuse why you can't make a post. And a lot of times people get in their own way on some of those things. So for you, what are some of the things you've been posting that has allowed you to stay top of mind with your people?
I'm just me. And again, I stick to what I do and love. We are gearheads, car freaks. We are in car clubs. I am at car events every weekend, all weekend. Even on Christmas Eve, I was at a car show on Christmas Eve morning at Polaris, in the rain. So I stick to what I know, and I think, and sometimes I'm goofy and I get on social media and I'm singing a Prince song along with radio, whatever. I'm just me, and I think that's what
Yeah.
it takes.
Yeah.
People don't like fake. They just don't, and they don't like marketing shoved in their face either. They just want to see you and who you are, and there's too much social media, and some days I'm like, damn, Rayna, you've posted like 16 times today. You need to just like get off social media. Somebody's going to block you before the day's over with. But say some days I don't post any. It just depends on what's going on. But you are
Yeah.
right. Social media is free, and that's how you reach the people that you might not reach any other way. Yes, I have high school graduate, people I graduated with in high school. Well, you don't have them now because you graduated with them. You have them because of social media. So
Mhm.
you need to use that. And see, I'm giving away all my secrets, and this is not good, but I like to see agents succeed. I really do. I like to
Yeah.
work with a good agent that's very knowledgeable. I think a lot of agents are going to fall off the business after this year. So
Yeah.
we'll
I
see.
agree. I agree. Raina, thanks so much for jumping on and sharing your story and your journey, coming into the business and how you built your business. Those that are watching, if you're someone that is thinking about buying, selling, investing in real estate, Raina's phone number is, down at the bottom of the screen. But Raina, for those that are, listening in on the audio version, what's the best way for someone to connect with you?
My phone number, absolutely text, call. My website's my name, raynamorgan.com. Anyway, find me on social media. I've got a business page, a personal page. You can find me at the drag strips on the weekends in the summertime, however you want to find me. But yeah, glad to help anybody. I work with a lot of probate patients. Oh my gosh, probate clients too. So that's been an interesting part of my business that's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Helping these families transition either after a parent, passes away or they need to move them. So that's something that I've been concentrating on too as well. So
Yeah.
can't wait for that.
Well, thanks so much, Raina. If I can do anything for you, give back to you or your agents, please don't hesitate to reach out. And again, thank you so much for your time today to share your journey. I know it's going to impact a lot of people that are watching this. I hope that, people took away that you can build your business any way you want, and if you want to really narrow down and focus on your neighborhood, Raina gave you the blueprint and some of the tips to do so. So, Raina, thanks again so much. And we'll talk again here soon.
You're welcome. Thank you.
See ya.